You've been safe for years. Your body still hasn't heard the news. You sit in a warm room, the door locked, nothing coming for you, and some old muscle in your chest stays clenched like a fist that forgot it was ever holding anything. You call it stress. It is older than that. There's a specific exhaustion that comes from being fine. You perform calm all day, and by night you're wrung out with no story to explain it. Nothing happened. That's the strange part. Nothing happened, and still you're tired the way a soldier is tired, watching a horizon that has been empty for a very long time. Jung said the body and the psyche are not two things but one thing seen from two sides. What the mind cannot hold, the body carries. Your shoulders become a filing cabinet for words you never said. Your jaw stores the arguments you swallowed. The unconscious does not forget, it simply relocates. Somewhere early, your nervous system learned a rule. Maybe love arrived with conditions. Maybe a raised voice meant the ground was about to move. So a small part of you took a job it never asked for: watch everything, trust nothing, stay one step ahead of the danger. That part is still working. It never clocked out. This is the wound Jung circled his whole life. Not the event itself, but the split it caused. To survive, you divided yourself. One self went out to live, smile, and function. Another went underground to hold the fear, so the first self could keep moving. You've been running on two engines, and only one of them ever sleeps. Consider a woman I'll call Marta. She built a good life, kind partner, quiet home. Yet every night she checked the locks 3 times, and when her husband came home late she felt a flood of dread with no name. She wasn't afraid of him. She was afraid of a door that slammed 30 years ago. In therapy she realized the dread wasn't about the present at all. Her body was replaying an old broadcast, a signal recorded when she was 7 and the house was not safe. The nervous system doesn't tell time. To it, the danger is always now. Every locked door was a prayer aimed at the past. This is the trap of hypervigilance. It feels like intelligence. It feels like you, finally being responsible, finally seeing the threat everyone else misses. But it is not you. It is a frightened part wearing your face, convinced that if it relaxes even once, everything you love will be taken in the moment you look away. Jung called these split-off pieces complexes, and he said something haunting about them. He said a complex behaves like a second personality with a will of its own. You don't have the fear. At certain moments, the fear has you. It takes the wheel, and only later, calmer, do you wonder who was driving. The mistake we all make is trying to think our way out. You tell yourself you're safe. You list the evidence. You reason with the fear like it's a stubborn colleague. And the fear nods politely and stays exactly where it is, because it was never installed by logic, and logic cannot reach the floor where it lives. Because safety is not an idea. It's a felt sense, a temperature in the body, a loosening behind the eyes. You cannot argue yourself into it any more than you can argue yourself warm. It arrives the way dawn arrives, not because you convinced the night, but because you finally stopped bracing against the light. So what does the moment actually look like? It is almost never dramatic. There's no thunderclap, no breakthrough scream. It's smaller and stranger than that. It's the night you fall asleep before you meant to. It's a breath that goes all the way to the bottom of your lungs without asking permission first. It's the moment you set down a heavy bag and your hand keeps hovering, still curled around a handle that isn't there. And then, slowly, the hand opens. It's the strange grief that comes when the guard finally sits down, because part of you realizes how long it stood, and how tired it was the entire time. This is why the moment can feel like sadness before it feels like peace. When the body finally believes it's safe, it releases everything it was holding for you, and some of that is old fear, old grief, tears with no current cause. Don't fear that wave. It is not relapse. It is the thaw. Jung believed the psyche always moves toward wholeness if we let it. He called this individuation, the slow gathering of the exiled parts back into one life. The frightened child, the tired sentry, the self who went underground, none of them are enemies. They are family that got separated in the dark, still calling your name. So how do you invite the moment? Not by force. You cannot command a wild animal to trust you, and that is exactly what your nervous system is, something wild that was hurt. You don't demand its trust. You earn it, slowly, by becoming a person it can finally afford to relax around. It begins with a radical act. You stop treating your fear as a malfunction. That racing heart is not broken. It is loyal. It has been trying to save your life using a map drawn decades ago. When you meet it with contempt, it digs in. When you meet it with gratitude, it begins to loosen its grip. Turn toward the sensation without a story. Not why am I anxious, but where? In the throat. Behind the sternum. A cold ring around the stomach. Naming the place instead of the reason is how you speak the body's language. The mind wants explanations. The body only wants to be felt, and witnessed, and stayed with. Then, do something almost too simple. Look around the room and let your eyes land on what is actually here. The lamp. The wall. Your own hands. This is not a trick. You are giving the ancient watchman evidence in a language older than words. No tigers, no fire, no rising water. Only this quiet, ordinary now. Safety also lives in other people, but only certain ones. Jung understood that we are healed inside relationship as often as we are wounded there. There is a specific magic in sitting beside someone whose own nervous system is calm. Your body reads theirs and, without a single word, begins to borrow the belief that it's alright to rest. But here is the harder truth. Some of you have never known that kind of person, and so your body has no memory of borrowed calm to draw from. If that's you, the work is lonelier, but not impossible. You become the calm presence you never had. You learn to be the steady one at your own bedside. Watch for the projection, though. When you've never felt safe inside, you go hunting for it outside, and you can mistake intensity for home. The person who feels most familiar is sometimes just the one who recreates the old danger. Your nervous system confuses the words known and safe. They are not the same word. Real safety, when it finally comes, is often disappointingly quiet. It doesn't spark. It doesn't consume. It feels, at first, almost boring, and that boredom is the withdrawal from a lifetime of adrenaline. Stay through it. On the other side of that flat calm is something you may never have trusted before, peace that does not end. Let me tell you how it went for Marta. There was no single night the fear vanished. Instead she started leaving the locks after 2 checks, then 1, then none. She let her husband come home late without narrating disaster. The old watchman didn't die. He simply grew tired of a war that had ended long ago. She described the moment it turned. She was washing dishes, sunlight on the water, and she noticed her shoulders had dropped and she had no idea when. Nothing had been fixed. Something had simply been allowed. Her body, for the first time she could remember, had decided on its own that it was permitted to be here. That's the secret the moment keeps. It doesn't come when the danger ends. It comes when the vigilance ends, and those are 2 very different clocks. You can be safe for a decade and still braced. The turn happens the day some deep part of you finally lays down its weapon and chooses to believe the war is over. You'll know it by small signs. Falling asleep without rehearsing tomorrow's threats. Eating without hurry. Laughing a beat longer than the joke deserved. Letting someone see you before you've arranged your face. These are not small things. They are a nervous system, at long last, taking off its armor and finding the room is only a room, and there will be setbacks. A loud noise, a certain tone, a familiar smell, and the old alarm floods back as if no time has passed. This is not failure. The path to safety is not a line, it's a spiral, returning to the same fear at a higher turn, each time with a little more of you present to meet it. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But you cannot become yourself while half of you is standing guard. Wholeness requires that the sentry come inside, sit at the table, and rest. Only then does all your energy return to you, the energy you spent for years just staying afraid. So tonight, don't try to force the calm. Just make one small gesture toward the frightened part of you. Put a hand on your chest and say, quietly, you can stop now. I've got it from here. You may not believe it yet. That's fine. Trust, for a wild and wounded thing, is built one honest night at a time, because one day, maybe not soon, but one day, you will be doing something utterly ordinary. Pouring tea. Watching rain. Feeling the weight of a sleeping cat. And you'll notice a silence inside you that you don't recognize, and it will take you a moment to understand what it is. It's the sound of the watching finally stopping. That silence is not emptiness. It is the space where a war used to be. And into that space, slowly, real life can finally move in, the life that was always waiting for you to feel safe enough to live it. You were never broken. You were only braced. And now, at last, you are allowed to let go.